Welcome to the T Podcast. Bringing you the best in news, entertainment, celebrity gossip, social commentary, humor, and LGBTQ lifestyle. This podcast is part of the UrbanWire Media Network, where we shine the light on issues impacting the urban community. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher.
All right, y'all, we are back with the new season of the T Podcast, where we bring you the best in LGBT culture and lifestyle, news, gossip, and all of the above. You know we're here. It's been a while since we've done a live taping. I just want to get some housekeeping things out of the way before we go to the lines really quick. Before we start, I just want to introduce Jonathan. He's here with me today.
Hi.
Are you ready for a good show today?
I sure am.
All right. I don't even know where to start. I just want to get some housekeeping things done out of the way really quick. If you're listening live, I'm doing the StreamYard thing right now, but I'm not sure if it's really working. But we are on Facebook Live. If you want to call in, feel free to call us at 516-595-8150, and throughout the show, we're going to be answering questions and reading the comments in Facebook Live as well. But I just want to let you guys know that we are available to be reached. If you want to call us, once again, that number is 516-595-8150. We got a lot to discuss today, and I want to jump on the line really quick because I think this might be Phillip, but I just want to make sure. Caller ending in 4244. Is this Phillip?
Yeah, that's me.
All right, welcome, Phillip. You know it's a new season of the T Podcast, and we got a jam packed tonight. And I just want to first start off and tell everybody happy Pride Month. As you know, guys know that this is the month that we celebrate who we are as people or members of the LGBT community, or I should say the LGBTQIA plus community, if we want to be politically correct about it. But I just want to give you a rundown of what the show topics are going to be tonight. We got a jam-packed show, so we're going to jump right into what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about some very sad and tragic news. There were 2 trans women that were recently killed. So we're going to talk about trans women and why is this happening and what needs to be done to make sure our trans brothers and sisters are safe, because they are being targeted right now. And with that being said, Trump also just passed some legislation where he's, I guess they're going to try to kind of end where they can, help out medically the transgender community and stuff like that. They're trying to revoke health care protection for transgender individuals, so we're going to jump in that. Also, we're going to be discussing the fact that this is the 51st year since the Stonewall riots and how Black trans women played a significant role in those riots. And also, with everything that's going on, Monique and Oprah are at it again. And as you guys know, that she's been on their neck for like over 10 years. Like her, as far as Oprah, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, she has not let up off of them, because Oprah's been that type of person where she's always tried to play like she's the advocate for the Black community, but Monique is pretty much calling her out on her hypocrisy again. And also some fun news, in celebration of Pride Month, Spongebob has been quote-unquote outed by Nickelodeon. So he is now officially known as a gay character on Nickelodeon. Yeah. So we got that. We got so much to talk about today. We're going to definitely delve into these topics. And I don't know if you guys had anything that you want to start off with, but yeah, I really want to jump into our 2 trans sisters that have been brutally killed, and it's something that is very sad. Like I just don't even know what to even. I just don't even know how to even. Yeah, but anyways, I'm going to jump off into our first clip, and this first clip is demonstrating to us about the importance of trans women and trans men having access to health care, because we know that the system in the past has kind of like neglected them. And there's going to be some statistics in this clip that says, like, particularly trans women of color, their life expectancy is 35 to 36 years old. So I'm going to go to this clip really quick, brought to you by CBS News. And when we come back, we're going to have our discussion around this, and hopefully we'll have some more people call in, and we'll get your input.
Late yesterday, the Trump administration completed a change to the Affordable Care Act, rolling back a policy that protected transgender patients from discrimination. This new policy, enacted during Pride Month, was announced on the anniversary of one of the bloodiest days in the LGBTQ community, the Pulse nightclub shooting. At the time, the shooting was the deadliest the country had ever seen. 49 innocent lives were lost. We're also learning more about the deaths of 2 trans women who were killed this week. Dominique Fells and Riah Milton were killed on Tuesday. Each of their cases are considered open homicides, according to police departments in both Philadelphia and Liberty Township, Ohio. The Human Rights Campaign says that at least 14 transgender people have been killed so far this year. The majority of those are trans women of color. GLAAD, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, says that trans women of color have a life expectancy in the United States of 35 years. Joining me now, Kimberly Crenshaw, professor at both UCLA and Columbia Law School, and Imara Jones, founder and creator of Translash Media. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being with us. Imara, it's kind of unbelievable. I've read that statistic. I've read it on TV. I've seen it. 35 years. I think there's nothing more dangerous in America than being a trans woman of color.
Well, it's certainly one of the most dangerous things. I think that there's so many factors that contribute to the statistic that you gave. One of them being lack of access to health care, of course, lack of access to jobs. And when you have a life expectancy of 35, or the fact that most trans women who die before 35 are due to homicide or some other factor, it's because everything is failing. And so we need to look at the entire system of support and rights and equal access that we have for trans people. And of course, the new rule from the Trump administration sets us back in that.
So this is interesting, Kimberly. When Imara says everything is failing them, that sort of fits in with a philosophy that you have articulated and a term that you've given life to, intersectionality. And one definition of it, and I'm sure you have better ones, is intersectionality is the complex cumulative way in which the effects of multiple forms of discrimination, such as racism, sexism, and classism, combine, overlap, or intersect, especially in the experiences of marginalized individuals or groups. So it would stand to reason with this theory, and I got that description from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, under this theory, a trans woman of color faces multiple forms of discrimination because they are transgender, because they are a woman, because they are a person of color, and all sorts of systems fail them.
Yes, and it's important to focus on the systemic dimension of it. I think one of the things that sometimes people misunderstand about intersectionality is they think it's just about identity. It's just an identity politics claim. It's just a demand for recognition, rather than it calls attention to the ways that transphobia, patriarchy, and misogyny and racism all come together. It's the confluence of these dynamics that cause the disproportionate vulnerability of trans women of color. It's not just one thing, and it's not just an identitarian thing. So I think, as Amara said, it's the failure of all of these things that contribute to the vulnerability, and therefore our politics have to address those confluences that create the harms that now we're seeing happening across the country.
To many people, Imara, we've sort of been able to normalize the idea that we live in this free, open society and everybody faces the same experience in life. In this moment where we are realizing that that's just not true, particularly as it relates to people of color and the police, what is the thing about the experience of being a trans woman that you can tell our audience, that the things that they may not think about on a daily basis, that trans women think about on a daily basis, the fears that they have?
Well, I want to be clear to speak to my experience. I can't speak for all trans women, but I think that one of the things that's really important to understand is that we face the backlash and the frontlash caused by living in a patriarchal society. So for some people, trans women are murdered and killed and are targeted because we are too much woman, and with respect to trans women, and then on the other hand, are also ridiculed in public culture and dehumanized for not being woman enough. And so that bind is a unique one that is faced in our society. And I think that we have to not, in our conversation about race, understand the way in which race works together, as Dr. Crenshaw has so incredibly and groundbreakingly shown us all, the way in which it is reliant upon and works with, patriarchy works with race and works with our capital and economic structures and works with our legal structures and rights. And one of the most important things to understand about trans people is that whether or not we have basic rights in this country is actually a question. It's a question right now before the Supreme Court. The Trump administration, through this rule, has deemed that our humanity is not equal, and therefore we do not deserve equal access to health care. And so that is a basic tenet of American life that is not faced by the overwhelming majority of Americans.
Kimberly, 3 months ago today, something happened that I think if you asked 10 Americans about, not most of them would know what the significance is of today, 3 months ago.
Yes, so it was the moment when Breonna Taylor, who should have been a hero, I mean, she risked her life trying to give service to her fellow Americans to fight the coronavirus. She was an EMT. She lost her life when a raid of her apartment based on a mistaken warrant, a no-knock warrant, allowed police officers to come in and basically shoot her 8 times and took her life. Very few people knew about that at the time, and basically 3 months passed before there was any attention to it. So Breonna Taylor is the latest black woman to lose her life to police, the latest one whose mother had to find out that the persons who were responsible for killing her were the police, but there are many others. There's the family of Kayla Moore, a transgender woman who was killed in Berkeley. There's Michelle Casso, a woman who was having mental health crises at the time, and the police killed her. We don't know their stories, and because we don't know their stories, we don't really have a full agenda of what anti-black police violence looks like. And until we include their stories and until we include their frames, we won't have a full template from which to build reforms off of. So that's why Say Her Name is so important, to lift those stories. Say their names to tell their stories.
All right, guys. I just wanted to play that interview because that was a very powerful interview, and I feel that with this being not only Pride Month, but I feel that this also ties into what we're all trying to fight for, especially in the black community. With such groups as Black Lives Matter. Even within the black LGBT community, we face discrimination. We face, marginalization. And I feel that this is something that needs to be discussed, particularly within the transgender community. Not only do we as the gay community face certain difficulties and certain trials and tribulations within our community, but the transgender women, they face a whole nother set of issues and hurdles as well, and I just feel that it's about time for us to, as a community, to address those issues. Stop putting these women, trans women of color and men of color, pushing them off to the side and neglecting their needs, because I feel like, especially in the LGBT community, we, in general, just people of color, particularly black people, we're always shoved off to the side. We're always seen as the less desirables. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that it's time to change that. I just feel that, with all this that's going on, this is the exact reason why we need to get out here and vote. Trump is reversing everything that Obama's administration has tried to put forth as far as transgender and gay rights is concerned. And it's just a slap in the face that we see that he's trying to reverse all this stuff, and he's trying to put an end to health care for transgender people on the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub massacre. That's just outright just a slap in the face. And I just want to know, what do you guys think about this entire situation? Jonathan, I'm gonna start with you, and Phillip, I'm gonna jump to you and see what you have to say about the situation.
He wants to play his base, and he thinks that by doing this, he's going to get himself reelected. But this just further shows the contempt that he has, not just for the LGB, but for the T as well. Right.
Yep. And so, Phillip, what do you feel about this entire situation as it relates to black trans women and men of color, and how the Trump administration is now starting to attack them?
I think we all knew that this was going to come sooner or later. I mean, let's not pretend. I mean, even though this is 2020, I don't think we have made any progress since the Reagan administration had wanted to cut funding for AIDS research. What they did to the gay community then, including people of color, they're doing it again now. So I feel like history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
I don't. Yes, I mean, I should feel angry. I should be pissed, but I don't, because I feel like I knew that this was going to happen, and I've accepted it, and therefore, this is why I tell people to go vote. You have a president who just doesn't give a damn, and I don't know how long it's going to take for people to realize that, including his own fan base. But this is why it's so important to vote. And people don't take this seriously. This is what happens when you don't vote. You allow people like this to cut legislation that affects the transgender community. So I really hope that this is a wake-up call for many people who are apathetic about the election process. So, yeah, I agree with Johnson. He's doing this, to flex his arm so that he can get a second term. And I'm here to tell you that we cannot let that happen.
Yeah. And I just don't understand how you have so many passive. I mean, there are, I'm going to tell you, we have some very, I just think they're lost. There's some people that are in the gay community. They just carry on like nothing's happening. If it doesn't have anything to do with and drinking and going to the bars and clubs with their friends, they're totally oblivious to what's going on. And these are the certain things, these are the typical things that happen when we take the position of being nonchalant about things and not being serious about things. And I think it's about time for us to wake up as a community. And I think that particularly, I can speak for this community here in Indianapolis. I'm kind of glad, I'm definitely glad to see them now starting to look at these issues a little bit more. I've seen several people who are kind of out there in the community and stuff like that. I was really happy to see them take part of the protest, and they're actually being vocal on their platforms about these issues. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Whether it deals with trans women or Black Lives Matter, it's good to see for once that the gay community in general, but here in Indianapolis in particular, seeing that they are actually taking a stance, because there was a couple weeks ago when it's been about a month ago when Sean Reed was killed. There was some backlash that came because, I'm just going to put it out here, because Indy Pride did not want to say the discrimination. They didn't want to say police brutality. They didn't want to say they didn't want to speak out against the issues that are plaguing the Black community. And I just think that that's very hypocritical. For one, a lot of the mainstream white gays, they like to latch on to the entire Black civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. Wait, do we have the receipts on that? Like, did they blatantly just disregard the whole Black Lives Matter movement that's been going on?
Yes, the statement that they put out when Sean Reed got killed, it was very milquetoast. It was very watered down.
Okay.
And they did not want to say, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel now with everything that transpired since then, I think, I got to give them props. I'm starting to see more people actually speak out on issues of injustice as it relates to the Black community. But I'm going to say this too. I'm kind of wondering, is there a motive behind this? Because I feel now everybody has to play these politics because, if I don't say this now, I'm going to look bad. So I'm wondering, is it really genuine, some of these people that are supposedly putting like these messages on their pages like, oh, Black Lives Matters and stuff like that, because you guys have never been vocal about this stuff before. So why now? Like, is it because it's the end thing to do, or what? Like, I just wonder, like, why now? Like, you know what I'm saying? You guys should have been discussing these issues.
I would really hope that.
I think I can answer that because I've been wondering about that too, especially with Starbucks. I mean, all of a sudden Starbucks is Black Lives Matter, and then
we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, so I'll keep that part short. So the thing about it is, I feel like maybe it took them a long time to realize that Black Lives Matter was going to gain traction. They probably didn't. A lot of these companies that say that they're inclusive, equal opportunity, they probably didn't take it seriously, especially when Colin Kaepernick did the take a knee challenge. And I think that might be the reason why all of a sudden everyone is now Black Lives Matter. But at the same time, it has a lot to do with, running a business. I mean, we're a capitalist nation. Everything that we do relies on how many people support the business by actually buying products. And especially if it's a white-owned business. I feel like when we point out, we as Black people, when we point out injustice or discrimination in a business, I mean, it doesn't gain a lot of traction unless some white yuppie liberal in a gentrified neighborhood says something like, I'm not going to buy a product here if you're going to treat my Black friend like this. So It's like, once again, we do rely on white privilege to get Black Lives Matter on the topic, to gain traction. I mean, I'm not saying as if we're not capable of doing that ourselves, but I'm looking at it like this. This explains in a nutshell why all of a sudden everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. Because when this movement started, a couple years back, no one really took it seriously. And they thought it was just something all the cool kids are doing. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, my God, this is really impacting our business. And if we don't show people that we're sensitive to these topics, no one's going to want to buy our products. So I don't think it's genuine.
I'll say this too, Phillip. Like, I think another reason why we have to look at the system of capitalism too. And a lot of times people don't want to hear nor will they pay attention to something until it starts impacting them financially and hitting them in the pockets. Now, when Black people, now people want to talk about the looting and the rioting and this, that, and the other, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, you have to admit when people's businesses started getting attacked and and cities were getting destroyed, it woke the people up. And now people are now trying to take a stand. And I've been saying this for the longest. As long as we as a people, particularly Black people, as long as we are passive and forgiving, they are never going to forgive us. And I feel that sometimes you have to do extreme things to get extreme results, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I think when you start hitting people in their pockets, that's when they want to listen. And this is no different than this. Hell, we can even look back at the Stonewall riots. When they started going in and when they really started letting them people have it back then, that's when voices in these issues have been started to be, they started taking this stuff seriously. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like getting back to the whole thing we're talking about, the importance of Black trans women in the LGBT community, you better thank God that there were some Black trans women that were about that life, that were some true riders, because if not, we would not be where we are today. They were the ones that kicked off a lot of that stuff. And I just get so sick and tired of just the Black experience in general in the LGBT community being ignored. I just feel that without us, we would not be able to have some of the liberties that we have today. Even when we look at the first black president, of the United States, Barack Obama. He was the one that pushed gay rights and gay legislation ahead. No other president was thinking about doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that in the black gay community, we need to start being more vocal and letting these people know and taking these people to task. Hey, we are a pivotal part of the community as well. Without us, you wouldn't have these liberties that you have today. And that's just how I feel about it.
I mean, you're right. That's exactly the thing. Is money talks, and we pride ourselves in this nation because of it. And I mean, it aggravates me too when people focus on the writing, like, oh my God, the businesses. What about the businesses? Y'all breaking the windows and destroying shit. Blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? Those can be replaced. And for the people that say, well, they don't have enough money for business, fine. But if you're going to open a business in a marginalized community, you should expect this shit to happen. Now, I'm not advocating for businesses to be destroyed for the hell of it. No. But in every riot in this nation, there is always going to be collateral damage, no matter what. There's always going to be someone instigating violence, someone instigating destruction. But that does not reflect on what this protest is about. But if those things happen, those things happen. But it just shows that people in the suburbs, like I had expressed in the video that I posted on Facebook, people in the suburbs, all they care about is businesses. That's all you care about. So all the protesting was just, it fell on deaf ears. And that's the difference between the people that live in the nice neighborhoods from the people who don't live there. And because of that, we're going to have this divide. Money does talk. People with the most money aren't concerned about what's going on with people of color. Why should they be? They're comfortable. They have their way of life. They got what they want. The only thing that inconveniences them is to see people like us upset because they feel that we're going to threaten their way of life by demanding social programs that we desperately need to survive. And maybe that's why the transgender community is upset, because it took this long to get what they need in health care into legislation. I would be mad too if I saw everything that I needed be taken away because it inconvenienced somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
3 things.
Okay.
1, we all owe a debt of gratitude to Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes, say her name.
She is the one that threw the first brick that was heard around the world. Without her, all 3 of us and the rest of our brethren and sisters would not be where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Phillip, I want to add to your point about capitalism and the suburbs and all that. It's really high time for these protests to really make their way to the suburbs now because they've all felt isolated. They wanted to be...
but they have.
All that white flight that went on, they think they're fine in their own little world from everything else that's going on in the urban areas and the inner cities, and it's time for this to go over there to places like Carmel.
Ooh,
and
you calling them? Oh, you gonna call them out? You gonna really do that?
Oh yeah, I am.
Ooh,
I did. I called them out on my video too.
Because
I bet a lot of these people in the protesters were from there.
Yeah, and here's the thing, y'all. A lot of people are saying that a lot of these people that are coming into the cities causing havoc, because this is just going to go into a whole nother direction. That's why we got to do another part to this. There's just the whole protest part of it in general. The people that are coming into the city causing civil unrest are the people from the suburbs. They don't live in these communities. They come in here, stir up all this shit. They stir up all this, where the protests are peaceful and organized. They come into these cities and they start all this shit, stir it up, and then when you see the aftermath, then you don't see what happened before. You know, it's just bull crap. Like, you know, I just feel that it's only the negative that's being shown in the news media. You know, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Like my cousin, the video that went viral, I know you guys seen it because the Indianapolis Star covered it, about the entire woman, about the situation where the woman came through the circle and ran over peaceful protesters. The woman ran over peaceful protesters, and then it was on video. And the only reason why that story gained traction is because, for one, my cousin, she videotaped the situation. The woman was going to get off. But the only reason why I believe that she's not going to be facing charges is because, you know, social media got on top of their game. They shared this video, and people kept putting their pressure on the police that, hey, this ain't right. This woman did something wrong. She had no business being in that it was blocked off. She ran over these protesters, and she fled the scene. Now, my cousin said when she was down there, the police were asking her all these questions. Well, what happened before? What did you guys do to her? What difference does it make? This woman just committed a crime and ran over people, and it's caught on tape. And it's just bullcrap that I already knew what was going to happen. But I'm so glad that social media and people stood up and said, hey, this isn't right. Yeah. You know, and I think that's what
for her doing that.
Yes. So I don't know. It's just the whole thing about the entire situation dealing with the protests and stuff. That's a show within itself, because I just see how mainstream media portrays things. Like, especially when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, they want to make it seem like it's a bunch of militant people that's out here trying to rob and scheme and destroy businesses and stuff like that. And then what kills me is, and I'm not trying to be funny, like, how is it? There's a few gay people, and I'm not going to say it's a few people that I know. How can you be on the polar opposite side of this issue? You as a gay person, how could you stand for any group of people being discriminated against, and you supposedly have this infatuation with black people and you this, that, and the other, and you're supposed to be open, but we look at your social media and you go against everything that is against. I just don't understand some of these people. I don't understand how you can be LGBT or you can be in the gay community and you know the struggles of being gay and you can support the discrimination of another group of people. I just don't understand it. It's not right. You know?
Because, again, it's inconvenience. For a lot of people, they don't want to experience the inconveniency that comes with being a person of color who happens to be gay. And when they're with a person like that, yeah, they like the idea of this ebony and ivory bullshit. But when something like Black Lives Matter personally affects their dark-skinned companion, no, they don't want anything to do with it, because maybe it's not because they don't care. It's because it's because they don't know what to say. And that could be another reason right there. That doesn't excuse the complacency, but it could be another reason. Maybe your white boyfriend just doesn't know how to respond to that, because, again, he's never been in that situation. All he knows is that he was discriminated for being gay, but he doesn't know what it's like to be discriminated for being not only gay, but being black or being Hispanic or being Asian. So I think a lot of it has to do with not just complacency, but a lot of it has just to do with ignorance. They just don't know. But when we talk about race in the gay community, it's inconvenient, it's unattractive, and they'll portray you as, oh, you're just being too dramatic. Oh, oh, it's not about race. I don't see color. I don't have a problem with that. I love everybody. Now, that's a lie.
I don't see color. Like, are you serious? I don't understand that. How can you?
If you saw color, we wouldn't be dating.
Exactly. But I just don't, to me, that is like a slap in the face. Now, I understand some people mean good by that, but when you say that you don't see color, to me, you minimalize who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And my differences and what makes me unique as a person. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being different. I just think that we live in a society that has made those differences abnormal, or they try to, how should I say it? It's been stigmatized by society. Like differences, you know, if you don't fit the mainstream image, then I don't know. It just feels that when people say that, it just makes me cringe when I hear that. Like, I think we do need to celebrate the differences in one another, because that's what makes us unique. And I feel that, you know, when people say that, we need to call them to task and say, hey, I understand what you're saying, but, you know, you need to correct them, you know, and you don't have to be rude and disrespectful. You know, sometimes people just need to be educated. You know, when people's minds and their hearts are in the right place, you know. But some people are going to be willfully ignorant, and some people you can't save. And I just wish that we as people would just not even waste our time with certain people, because some people are just beyond. They're beyond reproach, and they don't want to hear anything you have to say. They're set in their ways, and we don't need to be wasting our time with that. We need to focus on the people that want to be educated, and we want to focus on the people that are willing to be our allies. You know, sometimes they need to be corrected on some of their, you know, ways of thinking, but we know when people want to be our allies, and we know when people just don't. And there's no reason for us to waste time going back and forth with people that don't see it for us, period.
Well, at the same time, we have to understand, you know, especially with white people who are now seeing the atrocities committed by law enforcement. I mean, we have to count our blessings. We have a lot more people supporting our cause than we ever have in decades. There are white people who do understand that what's happening to the black community, what's happening to trans people is wrong. And they really do want to make that effort to understand. We as a black community, we can't expect so much and so high from white people. We have to give them a chance to you know, to learn and to understand. But we can't ask them to walk in our shoes, because they're never going to be able to.
Right.
And
right.
That's fine. I can accept that. But when you willfully want to try to sweep it under the rug, or tell me that I should just be quiet about it, I don't get into politics, I don't like politics, I don't want to talk about it, then that's when I have a problem, and that's what I would do what you just said. Just leave them be. Just, if you're going to be set in your ways, fine. But you can't act like this doesn't affect you. Everything that you do in this country is political, and you can't escape the subject about politics, because till it happens to you is when it'll be too late. So that's why we're going to be like a mosquito in people's ears about Black Lives Matter, about Black Trans Matter, even after November, because this is important. People need to realize that this is a matter of life and death. You got people in Congress who don't give a damn. How many decades will it be? So it's now or never.
Going back to when people say that they don't see color, I've seen a political cartoon from about the time of the Flint water crisis, and there's two different slides. One is an adult giving a little girl some water, and it just showed an outline. So you really didn't know exactly what was happening. But then on the other side, then you see this older white man giving this little black girl water from the water that they get in Flint.
Yeah.
So it just really resonated with me that, yeah, you're going to have to see color in order to understand what people actually go through.
Mm-hmm. That's almost like, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think that kind of relates to the whole all lives matter thing? You know, because I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to tell you this. With all the op-ed pieces that are out here and all the discussions that's been had around All Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, I'm not giving anybody any passes, people that want to refute Black Lives Matter with this All Lives Matter rhetoric. Because at this point, I think that it is cold. It's a cold. All Lives Matter is cold now. And I feel that it's something that is used to minimalize the plight of heterosexual and homosexual and lesbian and transgender black struggles in this country. And I feel that people that are saying that now at this point, they need to be called to task. Because when you say all lives matter, that means when you're saying that, you're pretty much dismissing what that is. Because we know, looking at the history of this country, that white people have always been the ruling class in this country. And so we know that their lives have always mattered. You know, but we're just saying with this particular movement, hey, we need to address the systematic and the unfair and just unjust treatment of black bodies here in the United States. So I feel that when you hear all lives matter, because now you know it's white people that are now starting to call people out. And that's what I'm going to say. Not all white people are the enemy, just like all black people aren't fam, or they're not like they say skin folks ain't kin folks. That's the same thing that goes along with that, because you have a lot of black people within black society that have contempt for black society, and they will do anything to destroy black society. They have that much hatred towards their own people. And it's very sad. That's why they call it jigaboo. Yeah, jigaboo, like your girl Candace Owens. And I just feel that with her, there's a piece out by on News One website, and I just did a video about this, and I'm going to be releasing that probably later tonight. But they were just saying how Candace Owens, and I know I'm getting away from the topic, but I just wanted to say that while I'm on my train of thoughts going there. They were talking about how Candace Owens is nothing but a con artist, and all she is, she's out here trying to secure the bag. She's tap dancing, she's cooning out because she's trying to get the bag. They called out a lot of her inconsistencies in this particular piece that I will be talking about in this video that's coming up, about how she's a hypocrite. Like, for example, she talks about how the NAACP has done nothing for the black community, and the NAACP is doing more harm to the black community than good. But they pulled records back from 2007 when she filed a civil rights lawsuit against the school that she was going to, because they were discriminating against her. I guess it was two white males that were discriminating against her, and her and her family sued that school corporation and got over $37,000. So it's funny that you want to dismiss the plight of black people, but when it comes to you in your bag, then it's woe is me. So that's why I said, you have to watch these black people out there that are very vocal about putting their own community down, but you're dismissive of everything else that's in front of us. You don't want to address that. This is the same woman that glorified Adolf Hitler. So we're dealing with someone that has a very trash-like mentality. She has a reprobate mind, and she needs to be thrown to the wolves.
I think you should address that in the next video. You know, jigaboos in general. You know, in the future, because the thing about it is, look, Candace Owens, she's entitled to her opinion, and I don't have no issue with that. But what I have an issue is, okay, you sitting here complaining about what all these organizations have ever done for black people. Well, Candace, what have you done for black people? That's the thing about black conservatives and Republicans. Okay, I get it. You are sick and tired of all the ratchetness that comes with our community. We get that. But do you think the grass is any greener as a Republican conservative? I mean, who are you trying to impress? So that's really the thing. It's not just her. You got Sheriff Clark. You've got the Hodge twins on YouTube. You've got Terrence Williams on Twitter, who's some kind of comedian who loves Trump. You got Diamond and Silk. So
Elder.
That's the big question that we all have to ask. What are you getting out of this by playing for the other team? Because in reality, we really shouldn't just put our community inside the box of one political party. Because no matter what political party that you belong to, they're going to leave you out of it every single time. But you're gonna make videos and you're gonna make money and notoriety by talking about how much you hate the black community, blah 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 blah. That's fine. I don't care what you do. But at the same time, what are you doing for the black community? If not for yourself. I mean, it's just like that biblical scripture. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Profits a man.
What would profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? What's going to profit Miss Candace Owens? That's the question she needs to ask herself.
Well, I will say Phillip. I will say this, Phillip. Cooning and selling out never pays off in the end. And we've seen this happen countless times. Through the likes of people like Stacey Dash and Jason Whitlock. Now, did you hear about Jason Whitlock recently being let go from? Well, they didn't. I'm not going to say let go, but they refused to renew his contract with Fox Sports. Did you hear about that?
I've never met this person or know who he is.
Well, he's another one of these tap dancing jigaboos that's on Fox News Network, but he's on the sports side of it. But he's always putting down black athletes. He's always saying he has a lot of anti-black rhetoric, and I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me, I think he's from Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of people say he's definitely an embarrassment, but just like what they can get out of you, they kick you to the curb because they have no more use for you. Because at the end of the day, whether they agree with the black community or if they respect the black community or not, they will not respect you in the long run when they see that you have no loyalty towards your own community. These people don't respect you. If they see that you're out here shucking and jiving and you coming up against your own people, they're not going to respect you in the long run because they're going to see like, hell, if they'll do that to their own kind, what will they do to? They'll eventually turn on us. And that's why
it happened to Omarosa.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the list is just extensive as it relates to the number of people that this has happened to. And that's why I say, man, you think that you get these little, I hate to use the word, you get nigger trinkets. They give them these little nigger trinkets and butter biscuits, and they sit around and they think they got it made. But once they use you up for what they want, they're gonna throw you out, gonna spit you out like they done took a whole damn catfish and they done sucked the meat off the bone and spit the bones out. Because that's all they look at you as.
It's a minstrel show. You performing for scraps.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
I
feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnson, you had anything to say? You just up here kind of quiet.
Well, I was wanting to get back to my other point about Trump and the trans community and what he's done.
Yeah.
And I pulled up this article from The Guardian from September of last year. I'm going to quote it. Since taking office, the Trump administration has sought to reverse health care protections for trans people, which has now already happened. He has moved to ban trans people from serving in the military. He has eliminated rules protecting trans students and has pushed to allow businesses to turn away gay and trans customers if they seek religious exemption. Also, I want to point out...
How can he get away with that?
Apparently, there's certain rules that he can do within the Civil Rights Act, like the Title IX, Title VII, whatever, that administrations are allowed to do that doesn't need congressional approval.
So this is a loophole.
It's not exactly a loophole, but I think that the law gives the administration some leeway. So, in other words, all Trump is doing is reversing what Obama has put into place.
Yeah.
Because probably in the right-wing mind, this is government overreach. So, again, this plays directly to his base.
It's so funny. All those white people in the Michigan State Capitol. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish. I apologize.
Is that the Supreme Court either at the end of this month or at the end of next month is going to make a ruling whether businesses can discriminate their own LGBT employees.
Oh, wow.
I believe that's under Title VII or Title IX, whether sex would be a determining factor.
Sexual orientation, yes.
Wow. So that's something that we need to be on the lookout for in the coming weeks.
And you know what? Yeah, go ahead, Phillip. Yeah, you good.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's funny that you mentioned government overreach because that's what we kept hearing during all these protests about the stay-at-home order, especially at the Michigan State Capitol. I want everyone to pay attention to this. So it's okay for a bunch of good old boys to go to the state capitol and complain about government overreach when it comes to a motion to keep people from getting coronavirus. But no one's complaining about this. This is government overreach. Where are those protesters now?
But see, that's why I'm saying these people, they're a bunch of hypocrites. They're a bunch of hypocrites. Until it impacts them, that's when they have. That's only when they have interest in that or the Constitution and this, that, and the other. If it impedes, or if it not impedes, if it restricts someone else's rights or infringes on somebody else's rights, that's when they don't care about that. But when it infringes upon their rights, that's when they're vocal about it. So to me, it's a lot of hypocrisy all around. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, if you were really about that life and you were really about upholding the Constitution and what's morally right, you would be out there protesting, and you would at the very least, be very vocal about any, form of or any act of, people's rights being infringed upon. I just see the hypocrisy in it.
Mhm. I mean, it's funny. You're going to sit there and complain about, oh, they're taking away my rights. They can't do that. We need to limit government. And yet, here we are. We are protesting Black Lives Matter for that exact reason. Because we believe that there is government overreach in the judicial system, down to the police unions themselves. And now that you have a president that's depriving LGBTQ members, especially transgender people, of resources through their health care, and now soon we'll all be discriminated at our workplace, Yes, where are those people now? Where are they? So it's very hilarious to me, the hypocrisy of it all.
Honey, all I hear is crickets, honey. So I don't hear any outrage whatsoever. None.
This is why you gotta vote. I had this.
It's disturbing. It's very, yeah. So
this is why you gotta vote. This is why you gotta register.
Yeah, and we have each one reach one. I believe that. Make sure if you have younger nieces, nephews, cousins, make sure they are getting involved in the political process. Make sure that they're registered to vote, and not only make sure they're registered, make sure that they get to those polls. Make sure you stay on top of them and make sure that they are researching these people. Start educating them at a young age. Like, what impacts you? What do you where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? And what obstacles do you see might get in your way to getting to your goals, or what do you want to do in life? And you have to teach them to start researching these candidates. Instead of just listening to all this love and hip hop and all this reality TV, start teaching them to listen to some of these political debates. Teach them to just educate them. I just think that these kids are feeling, and these young people and young adults today, they're filling their minds up with all this bull crap that they see, and they're engaging and I don't know. I don't even know. I think that they're not indulging in what they need to indulge in. They need to indulge in them books. They need to indulge in the political process. They need to, because love and hip hop's not going to ensure that you have jobs and resources and health and this, that, and the other. And it's all that foolishness and all that ratchet culture is not going to ensure that you are going to have a secure future. So that's why I feel like we need to kind of reach these younger people. We need to make sure they get to the polls. We need to make sure that they educate themselves and get familiar with the political process, because they are the ones that are going to take the mantle, and they're going to pretty much be running this country. So we have to make sure that they get politically involved.
That's because it's what Johnson said about bread and circus. That's what this is.
Yeah. So
that's what this is. Distracted.
Do you have anything else to say on this subject? No. All right. Okay, let's move on to our next topic. I'm just jumping around because we got so much that I wanted to discuss. Now, we brought up earlier about the entire Starbucks fiasco. BuzzFeed released an article earlier last week, I would say, not today's Sunday. They released an article, I believe, on Wednesday, exposing Starbucks for sending out a memo to its employees saying that they are not to be wearing any hats, shirts, or any other forms of expression as far as Black Lives Matter is concerned. Now, after this hit the media, and a lot of people were outraged and threatened to boycott Starbucks, I guess they revoked that decision and told their employees that they are permitted to wear Black Lives Matter memorabilia, and they were in support of the movement. Now, my thing they were under fire because, like, people are upset. Like, you didn't learn anything from a couple years ago when you guys went through what you went through. Yeah, with that situation. And a lot of people are mad because they're being hypocritical. They claim that they have a policy in general that prohibits employees from wearing like clothing with political statements and jargon and stuff like that. But they say you don't have a problem with supporting the LGBT community. And a lot of people were like saying that there's some hypocrisy there. Like, they say that's all well and good that you support the LGBT community, but why aren't you supporting this Black Lives Matter movement that everybody is in favor of, pretty much? Like, everybody sees the importance of this. You have multi-billionaires and Fortune 500 companies such as Amazon, like Jeff Bezos, he's in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. And all these other companies like the CEO of Apple and all that stuff, they are coming out in support of Black Lives Matter. So why isn't Starbucks in support of it? And a lot of people were very upset about that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? The reason why Starbucks feels like they can get away with this stuff is because they feel that there's no repercussions from the black community. We can do whatever we want to do to you. We can disrespect you, and just give it a couple weeks to a month. Then you got to be back in our businesses spending your hard-earned money again. So I blame us as a community for allowing this, because that's why they feel they can keep disrespecting our community. They feel like they don't have to support us and whatever, because they know that there's no consequences behind it. And that gets back to what I was saying earlier about the whole system of capitalism. When there is no consequences monetarily, then these people don't care about your plight. But when you start applying that pressure politically and monetarily, that's when things change. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel that the whole Starbucks situation, it's not a unique situation. We see it all the time, especially in the black community. I'm bringing it back to the black community. That's why you see all of these situations with Asian, these people going to these Asian nail salons or in nail shops and going into these Asian-owned businesses, and they're straight up disrespecting black people because they know that there is no consequences behind them disrespecting us, because we're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep supporting them and patronizing their businesses, and there's no consequences. That's the thing. When people don't have any consequences and you allow them to keep doing stuff to you, you don't set any boundaries up, then the behavior continues. You see what I'm saying?
You have to be a mosquito in their ear.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've been saying.
I mean, nothing will get done if you don't keep bothering them. And that's what I'm trying to get people. You don't like what the government is doing? Well, whose fault is that? If you haven't been paying attention, that's on you. You have to follow up. You have to hold them accountable when they're not doing what they said they were going to do when you elected them. You can't be complacent at a time like this. So, yeah, I'm glad that we have a larger presence of Black Lives Matter in 2020. But I'm still going to be skeptical and say, how long will it be before this fizzles out and we're back to where we started?
Good point.
Yeah. Well, I feel that we need to, like you said, keep our foot on the gas. You know, every time these situations happen, there should be a consequence behind it. Did you guys hear that there was just another situation in Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I feel mixed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this because I saw the video. I saw it several times. Okay, so from what I understood, he was drunk. He was asleep in his car at the Wendy's. Some say they called on him because he was blocking the drive-thru. I don't know anything about that. So, you know, they handcuff him because, you know, he can't drive because he's drunk. Okay, I get that. So, you know, he wiggles away from them. He manages to get a taser. He points it at the cop, but he's still running away from the cop, but they still shoot him. So I'm mixed on where to stand on that because, okay, it's a black man who's wriggling away from the police. Come on, man. You black. You think they're just going to let you struggle and not risk getting shot even if you aren't planning on killing them. So I look at that, but then at the same time, it was unnecessary for them to shoot him again. He was running away, just like Sean Reed was. He was running away from the police. Why would you just want to shoot a person who's running away from you? He didn't have a gun. He just had a stun gun. So I'm very divided on this issue because I don't want any monkey wrenches getting in the way of our of Black Lives Matter, especially when you have crimes where the guy who's being apprehended was in the wrong.
Yeah. But I'll say this, though, Phil, and let me know what you feel about this. It's mighty funny that, you know, protocol gets thrown out of the window when it comes to black people, but you have mass killers and mass shooters such as Dylan Roof and just countless others, like, you know, that seem to be able to be apprehended without any incident. And, like, they're treated with royalty when they are apprehended. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have a scratch, bruise, or blemish on them.
Very well.
They get treated very well. My thing is, that's what I'm saying. It's not consistent across the board. There's two different justice systems. You know,
equal justice.
People,
we don't see it.
Yeah, like a lot of people are saying, you know, like what's the name? Candace Owens is talking about. Well, what's the name? He was determined this, that, and that, blah, blah, blah. But regardless of what they did, that does not justify them being killed. That does not merit you being executed, your life being snatched from you. Right? So my thing is, it needs to be equal protection under the law. Everything needs to be clear cut across the board. You can't have a certain standard for a certain group of people, and then that standard is different when you're dealing with all others. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You know,
but
I
that's
just
the thing.
Mhm.
That's just the thing. We live in a capitalist nation, which means even law enforcement can be bought at the highest price. So it was never equal to begin with.
Yeah.
We have to deal with police unions. We have to deal with politicians. We have to deal with people, the middlemen, who make it so that they can pay whoever that's been convicted of the crime in the police force so that they post bail. I mean, the guy who was responsible for George Floyd's death posted bail. None of us should be surprised. But we got to follow the money. Money makes anything that seems equal and fair not. It's not equal. It never was. And we have to stop assuming that it is. So you're right. I mean, it is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just so much going on. You know, I just feel that this year has definitely been the year of exposure. 2020 vision is the thing that I have it on my Facebook page. 2020 vision. There's so many things that have taken place this year that has exposed so many people. You know, and it's been kind of painful too. You know, because you really get to see people that you thought felt a certain way about certain issues or certain things. You really got to see their true colors through a lot of these incidents that have taken place.
That's right.
And I just
we never
feel
expected
that,
for that hindsight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I want to get to. I got a couple more stories, and then we're going to jump off here tonight. When we talk about allyship, I really think, especially when it comes to our Caucasian brothers and sisters, you know, I feel that a lot of times I think that they should check their privilege at the door and use their platforms to speak out against injustice. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you are in an interracial relationship, or if you have friends that are minorities in general, I feel that you need to use your influence and your voice to speak out on things. You know, when you are around a group of friends, you around somebody that's making trash-like statements, you need to be vocal about that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's what's going to be the thing that is going to challenge the system. And I am starting to see that. Like, you have people that are challenging the system, and they are standing up. So that's why I'm saying not every white person is the enemy, just like every black person isn't for you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be doing a video on that stuff because I think we need to stop burning our bridges. Because if we have people that are willing to be our allies, we need to realize that, you know, not every white person is against us, and not every black person is for you. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta realize that. You know what I'm saying? So
loyalty should not be and loyalty should not be confined to just color. Yeah, and I think one person that I read this article about Taylor Swift. She's using her voice to urge Tennessee leaders to remove its racist statue in an emotional Instagram post. And this article comes from Elle magazine, and it states, today Taylor Swift let her 134 million Instagram followers know where she stands when it comes to preserving monuments that honor racist figures. Her powerful post comes a few days after finally advocating for Black Lives Matter movement on Twitter. She quote, I'm asking the Capitol Commission and Tennessee Historical Commission to please consider the implications of how hurtful it would be to continue fighting for these monuments. Swift captioned a lengthy statement on Instagram. When you fight to honor racists, you show black Tennesseans and all their allies where you stand, and you continue this cycle of hurt. You can't change history, but you can change this. And her Instagram post stated, as a Tennessean, it makes me sick that there are monuments standing in our state that celebrate racist historical figures who did evil things. Edward Carmack, Nathan Bedford Forrest were despicable figures in our state history and should be treated as such. I've seen the statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest.
Yeah. Because you say you
lived in Memphis for 2 years. Yeah. I lived in Memphis for 2 years. There's a park in downtown Memphis that is, I believe, named after him. There's several Confederate statues in Memphis, and so it's not the first time I've heard that they want these gone. I just don't want them destroyed. I want them preserved because, again, I'm an artist, and the person that sculpted those statues, come on, you're destroying their person's work, regardless of who the statue is. Please don't destroy them. I would like to see them placed in a museum or storage. Hell, you could put them away, but don't destroy them. Because at the same time, yeah. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Well, I'll say this. I don't mean to cut you off. So I agree with you on that. But I feel that these statues and things should not be on state-funded or, like, you know what I'm saying, be on, I don't know, it shouldn't be state property. Taxpayer property. I don't feel that needs to be there. That's inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that a lot of states, I think even Indianapolis is starting to removing statues that are like that. I think it was some Garfield Park. So I think that needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that history needs to be erased, because when you erase history, you're doomed to repeat it. You have to learn from history, and you have to acknowledge that. That's an ugly part of history. But we need not to erase that.
That's why we have to be careful that we're not censoring
it. Yes.
I'd like to create a museum entitled "What Not to Do," and take all those Confederate statues and put them all in there and explain to not just American citizens, even though American citizens need to really see this, but to everyone around the world, this is what you don't do. This is the losing side.
Right.
This side advocated for something that is terrible and unjust.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I'm saying, like, you know, we need people with platforms like Taylor Swift. Like you said, she has over 134 million Instagram followers, and that's what I'm saying with white people. If you want to be our allies, you need to check your privilege at the door, and you need to use, you know, your influence and your voice to speak out on the issue. Because what good is it that, okay, you may be personally against something, but if you're not speaking out against it, and you have the means to educate and enlighten people on something, what's the point of you having all these followers and all this influence if you're not going to do anything positive with it? You see what I'm saying? Like, and you're sitting up here talking about you're an ally, but you're not doing anything with your influence. Check your privilege at the door. And I follow somebody called, his name's Justin J. King of Reeds, and he always says that people need to check their privilege at the door. You know, if you are in a certain group and you know you have an edge over another group, and you have influence and you have the power to speak out against something, and you have that influence, you need to use that influence. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to say that you're, you know, against something and you're not doing anything to kind of help that situation. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I saw that was an article that was interesting to me, and also I want to talk about let's see, move on so I can get this article pull up. Yeah, Justice Smith. Now, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but they said that he came out as queer in solidarity for Black LGBTQ plus lives. And this article comes from Advocate, and it states, I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'm just going to give you the gist of it. While attending Friday's protest against white supremacy and police brutality in New Orleans, Jurassic World, the Fallen Kingdom star Justice Smith came out as queer to bring more visibility to the Black, trans, and queer lives movement. The actor posted a video on Instagram alongside his partner, fellow actor Nicholas Ash. Together, Smith and Ash were among thousands of peaceful demonstrators across the nation marching for racial injustice following the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, a Black trans man who was killed by police. Now, a lot of people don't even talk about that one in particular, too. It's been so many of them. And then it goes on to say that he quoted, he says, Nick Ash and I protested today in New Orleans, Smith wrote. We chanted Black trans lives matter, Black queer lives matter, all Black lives matter. As a Black queer man myself, I was disappointed to see certain people eager to say Black lives matter, but hold their tongues when Black, trans, and queer was added. I wanted to reiterate this statement. If your revolution does not include Black queer voices, it's anti-Black. If your revolution is okay with letting Black trans people like Tony McDade slip through the cracks in order to so liberate Black cis men and anti-Black, it's anti-Black. And then he continues to say, you're trying to push yourself through the door of a system designed against you and then shut the door behind you. It's in our conditioning to get as close to whiteness, straightness, maleness as we can because that's where the power is. And if we appeal to it, maybe it'll give us a slice. But the revolution is not about appeal. It's about demanding what should have been given to us from the beginning. What should have been given to Black, queer, and trans individuals from the beginning? which is the right to exist, to live and prosper in public without fear of persecution, of threat, or violence. And I'm not going to finish this article. You guys can check it out. The article is entitled, once again, Justice Smith Comes Out as Queer in Solidarity for Black LGBTQ plus Lives, and you can find that on theadvocate.com. And again, like I said, this is a brother that is using his platform and his influence to shed light, because he could have easily stayed in the closet and lived his private life with his partner, but he chose to come out and stand in solidarity and say, hey, look, you know, he made some good points, because this is something that bothers me. And I'm not saying all people in the black community are like it, because they're not. But you have some people within the black community that feel that rights for gay, lesbian, transgender men and women, we shouldn't even be paying attention to that. At the end of the day, they're black just like you. They are your people. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems to me a group of people that claims to be oppressed, it's just that you would forget people within your own community that are part of a subculture. You forget them and shun them away. You know, I just think that it's just, I think that the hypocrisy is real sometimes. Like, and I think that he made some good points in this article, and I think that we need to really address that. Like, I feel that our community is overlooked. You know, whether it's even in the church community, like even in the religious sectors. Like, I know of so many people, and I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can get mad if you want to, because you know this is my platform. I'm gonna say what the hell I want to say, and I'm gonna keep it real over here. The church killed me. Y'all want to always condemn the gays, and y'all want to act like they don't exist and their lives don't matter. But you don't mind the gays coming in and doing X, Y, and Z in the church, working hard in the church, getting your music ministries together, doing all this stuff for you, but they don't matter. As long as they stay in the background, they cool. But you ain't gonna. But you against the homosexuality. But as long as they doing something for you in your ministry, that's all good. And I think a lot of times we get used for the things that we can do for other people, but they don't want to reciprocate that and support us as a community. I think that we need to start calling these people to task. You know what I'm saying? So many times they want to steal our fashions, they want to steal our lingo, they want to steal everything from us, but still at the same time you want to condemn us. My thing is, don't be lukewarm. Be either hot or cold. Either you're going to be for us or you're going to be against us. You see what I'm saying? And I don't want to hear stuff. I just don't want to. I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. I just really don't want to hear it.
This movement in this time, this century, is not going to make the same mistakes that the civil rights movement made by excluding people in the gay community. We won't make that same mistake.
Yeah. Because a lot of times it's us out there. We're the ones out there protesting. We're the ones out there protesting the loudest and the hardest. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel that overlooking us is just a slap in the face. And I'm going to tell you guys to check out this video I was watching on YouTube by T.S. Madison. And she just did a piece on her channel talking about, you know, I'm going to quote it, that's the bitch, I'm black. And to me, she made a good statement. She says, you know, I'm black as you. You know what I'm saying? I'm so black that she said, I didn't even comb this nappy wig on top of my head before I put it on. I put Spam and salad, this and that. You know, I'm black. But to me, you don't see my blackness. You just see my transgenderness or my gayness or this, that, and the other. And that kind of hurts because I'm standing up for you. Why can't you reciprocate that and stand up for me? And I just feel at the end of the day, we all are in this together. Because at the end of the day, they don't care if you trans, they don't care if you gay, straight, bisexual. They will kill you. They will shoot you down, and they won't think twice about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to get out of that mindset where we're separate. That's what happens to a lot of our movements in the black community. We become separated because of some trivial nonsense. And when there's that separation or that divide, it's easy to come in and conquer. You see what I'm saying? So we need to stand in solidarity. Whether you agree with the lifestyle or not, or whatever you consider the lifestyle, that's besides the point. We need to stand together and put all that stuff to the side, and then whatever, once we get what we need to get accomplished, then we can get back to that. But right now, this is not the time to be divided. We can't be divided right now. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm about these celebrities using their influence. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen so much tap dancing and just cooning the last couple weeks. You got people like Lil Wayne sitting up here talking about we need to blame ourselves and racism doesn't exist, and then you have Trina out here calling the protesters animals. But
I saw that video. Wow, I was laughing.
Yeah.
My God.
I did a video on that. You guys need to go to youtube.com/UCOFW and check out my commentaries on that. But people are dragging people like Trina and Shekinah Joe, who is Tiny's best friend, Tiny, who's a part of Escape, and T.I.'s wife. She was crying because the people were looting Lenox Mall and the Gucci store, talking about Gucci ain't did nothing to y'all, and these police ain't did nothing to y'all. Yeah, and she had to get up that damn live with that damn bonnet on her head, looking like Aunt Jemima, looking like somebody's man. It's sad. Like, and then Trina, how can you sit up here and talk about somebody being animal when you are sitting on when you've been promoting animal-like behavior for years through your music and on your reality show Love and Hip Hop? Like, you want to talk about animal-like behavior, look at your own life. And I just feel that show that she's on down there, they need to cancel that show because we do not need people like her on the air right now. That
even Kyle went after her ass. Exactly.
It's just, it's sad. It's just really sad what's going on with these people. It's just, I don't know.
A lot of celebrities are fucking do things for photo ops.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of those celebrities that went to that funeral, George Floyd's funeral, people are calling them out like, y'all just here just for a photo op. That's all these. Y'all don't even know this man.
Right.
I was like, where were you?
Exactly. Where have y'all been? We got a
don't want to be around a common book.
Yeah. We got a caller online. We're gonna go to the lines real quick and see if they have a comment or something to add to the discussion in general. Caller ending in 7834. Do you have a question or comment about what's been going on in the news? We're just talking about just a lot of things that are going on. I wanted to, after we take this call from now, I really want to get on this Oprah and Monique situation, but I just wanted to see if you had anything to add to the discussion right now, or you
nope,
listening.
I'm just listening.
Okay, all right. We appreciate you joining us tonight. I want to get on the whole entire Oprah and Monique situation. Now, as many of you may know, that this whole feud between Oprah and Monique and Oprah, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and who am I forgetting? Okay, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels, and Oprah it's been going on for years. And, you know, it stands back to the whole situation of her playing in Precious in 2009 and how she took on this role, and she did it as a favor. She did the project. She only, They gave her $50,000, but they wanted her to promote the movie. But she didn't want to do that because she already gave her time up and you know, all her energy up on this movie. She wasn't getting really compensated for it. And, you know, at that time, you know, she had a family and stuff like that, and she just couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? You know, they wanted her to promote this movie for free. And because of that, Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry put the narrative out there that she's difficult to work with. And, you know, and then Oprah comes in the picture because she went on Oprah's, well, her and Oprah used to be close, and she had a conversation with Oprah about her life and about her being abused, sexually abused by her brother and stuff like that. So Oprah goes behind her back and she contacts her family and has them on the show to talk about the abuse without Monique knowing about this or, you know, writing off, because, you know, this is something that she told her in confidence. And Oprah feels like she's done nothing wrong to Monique, and she refuses to apologize. But yet she does this special talking about where do we go from here with all this racial injustice and stuff going on. Monique pretty much says, how can you sit here and say that we need to admit to what we've done wrong and what's going on as a country, but you can't even admit what you done wrong to me as your black sister and how you betrayed my trust, but yet you want to get on here and talk about this stuff. And you're the same person that's out here trashing black men, but yet you're glorifying white men that are accused of the same sexual misconduct, like Harvey Weinstein and countless others that are your friends in Hollywood. So this has been going on for a long time. A lot of people are saying how Oprah and Gayle are pretty much enemies of black society. She pretty much uses black people to come up and line her pockets and her bank account. But when it comes to issues of injustice and doing what's right, Oprah is a hypocrite. So what do you feel about the entire Oprah situation? I don't know if you guys have been following that. What do you feel about that, Phillip? Do you think that Oprah is like a friend of black society, or do you think that she has capitalized off of us and she has been like an opportunist? Like, how do you think about Oprah? Is Phillip there? I don't know if he can hear us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted.
Okay.
What I was saying was, of course she's an opportunist. I mean, if anyone hasn't figured that out by now about Oprah, I pity them. I mean, Oprah's going to do what Oprah's going to do. And I mean, you have to see it from her perspective. She's a successful woman. She has a talk show empire. Anything that she says personally to towards our cause, wholeheartedly, is probably going to affect her, and she probably just doesn't want to risk that. But at the same time, she was opportunistic by doing that to Monique. That was, I mean, Monique had every right to be upset. I'd be upset too if I told you something in confidence, and then you go and you blab to people, and then you have the nerve to tell me, oh, well, I was just trying to help you. And I think that's why she won't apologize. She thought that she was doing Monique a favor. But in reality, she was just doing it for herself. And that's called an ulterior motive. People sometimes will help you if it means helping themselves and not necessarily for your benefit.
Mm-hmm. And I just, like, my whole thing is with Oprah and the whole, like, and Gayle and stuff like that, these situations that's been going on. It's just like, my thing is, I wouldn't have a problem with her if she was fair and consistent across the board. You're constantly throwing black men under the bus. You're constantly attacking black men. But when it comes to Hollywood, you ain't about that life because you don't want to attack the hand that you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. And this is why I feel like, and I'm not trying to get into the whole conspiracy thing, but I think Oprah probably done sold her soul. She done sold out to Hollywood, and she's in debt to them people in Hollywood. So she's not gonna mess with no rich, powerful white men because they will easily end her career. And she probably got some skeletons in her. And
she
they
sure
will
do. I mean, yeah.
And you know how they are good at digging stuff up because there's been some scandals with Oprah that I'm trying to think like how the hell did this stuff just disappear? So they make things disappear for her, but if she pisses off the wrong person, you best believe that stuff is going to resurface. Especially with that school over there in Africa, that school for them girls over there, all that sexual molestation and stuff that happened allegedly, how that all disappeared. You best believe if she pisses off the wrong person, some stuff is gonna resurface about Oprah. She got some skeletons. I've always had a school of thought that any person that is a billionaire that has that much money, you did some shady stuff to get to the top. I don't care what nobody says. Like most people, you know, your books may be in a row, all in a row, and your ducks may be in a row now, but you had to get that capital somehow, and you did some shady stuff to get where you were. Because that, you know, I think that she's no exception to that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I really think over the past 35 some odd years that she was on the air, I think she's used black people as a means to an end.
Ooh.
And Oprah knows.
I mean, yeah.
She rocks that boat.
I mean,
her career is done.
Yeah.
Gail too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like that Black Mirror episode. I think the very first episode we watched, the very first season, Jonathan, what was it called? Shut Up and Dance. You know what I'm talking about. Daniel Kaluuya plays the main character that has to get on a American Idol-like show and win the audition so that he can have a better life. He'll have to get on a bike like everyone else. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I think it's the second episode.
Yeah, second episode. Well, anyway, that's what it applies to this too. It applies to this. Because when you finally reach the top of something, after experiencing so much struggle from a system that put you there in the first place, the thing about it is, what would you do in that point? If you spent your whole life trying to expose all of the corruption, but now you're in the ivory tower yourself. Now you can use that platform to help people, but you can't because if you do, you'll be back there right along with them. And so maybe that might be the case with Oprah. That might be the case. Maybe she does want to help, but she can't because look how hard she had to work to make the Oprah show happen. I mean, after being rejected from one news station to another. I get that. But at the same time, I think that a lot of people who are at the top, some of them have a lot to lose, and that's why they probably kept their mouth shut.
Good point.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm really thinking about doing a documentary or doing like a whole, like an entire show on Oprah, like really doing some research and just following her life and just, you know, some of the things that she had to go through and some of the, the controversy that she's been involved in, because I'm telling you, like, her life is very interesting when you start to take that magnifying glass and start looking at little small things and just looking at her life and her upbringing and just her rise to the top and who she had to bump shoulders with to get to where she is. It's very interesting, and just how her platform has changed throughout the years, and how it's just like she did a complete 180. You know, it's her life is very interesting, and it's just I don't know, man. I just think it's some dark stuff in there. It's some dark stuff in her life. You know what I'm saying? On one hand, a lot of people praise her on the surface for being a successful black businesswoman, but at what cost did that come? At what cost did that success come? You know what I'm saying? And I really think, you know, did she have to sell out her people and sell her soul to get to where she is? Because if that's the case, then should we be really idolizing her, you know what I'm saying, as someone that is an influential black businesswoman? You know,
I think
have
it's
to
more
look
of white housewives that idolize her.
Yeah. So I think black society has kind of pretty much written her off. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I'm going to go back to the lines again. I'm going to ask 7834. I'm going to ask you one more time. If you're still listening, that's fine. But now that you've been on the show for a while, I just wanted to see if you had something to say or if you're just still listening.
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I want to wrap the show up tonight. Another article I got from theadvocate.com. It was in a commentary piece entitled Happy Pride. What do we have to be proud of? And I'm going to wrap the show up with this because I think this really speaks to what's going on right now. This piece was written by Daylor Stout, and it was written on June 8th, 2020, and it reads as such. Happy Pride. This is a phrase I would have uttered thousands of times starting June 1st, the first day of Pride Month. I had some damn high hopes for Pride in the year of 2020. I published my first book, Our Gay History in 50 States, and planned an amazing whirlwind book tour advocating for inclusion of more diverse rendition of our community's history. I envision myself demanding more states join the ranks of California, Colorado, New Jersey, Illinois, and Oregon in requiring the teaching of LGBTQ history in schools. I had a total goal to get 1,725 books donated to the LGBTQ plus youth-focused learning centers across the country, especially in the conservative states and counties, so that kids there know that they are seen, valued, and a part of the rich community that has contributed so much to this country. However, my plans were hit with a 1-2 punch. First COVID-19, and then the murder of George Floyd. I'm a black man in Minneapolis, and my world stopped on Memorial Day. The black community is crippled with grief and anger, but not disbelief. We've seen this story before. We watched Ahmaud Arbery murdered by vigilantes. We followed the trial of Trayvon Martin's murder as the state let him walk free. Our eyes were glued to the video of Eric Garner in New York gasping for his last breath, crying out, "I can't breathe." George Floyd said, "I can't breathe," too. And yet we are still here, still unable to breathe. The black community, my community, is being snuffed out and nobody cares. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the first Pride March, which began as a commemoration of the events of June 28, 1969, when empowered by the Black Power's women's liberation and anti-war movement, the patrons of Stonewall Inn said, "Enough is enough." Black, brown, transgender, and gender non-binary people, a revolutionary riot lasted 6 days. There were both peaceful protesters and defiant protesters. there was unrest, there was violence, there was property damage, and people went to jail. Today, the country celebrates their contributions, even though none of them were celebrated at the time. Stonewall, like every riot in this country's history, was sparked by pushback against police violence and brutality. Today, as I stand in Minneapolis, I ask, where is the groundswell of LGBTQ plus community warriors now when my black community is under attack? Peaceful Black Lives Matter protests occurred at pride parades across the country have been met with boos, jeers, and social media rants. This is what happens when we fail to tell the history of our movement, including who was involved from the very beginning. This is what occurs when we fail to ensure that black, brown, indigenous voices are part of our leadership structure and have an equal voice. Without diverse voices in history and diverse voices in leadership, people believe that false narrative that white gays and lesbians secured gains on their own without the rest of us. Contrary to the beliefs of heterosexual communities, we are not one big happy family. They'd be shocked to learn racism exists in the LGBT community and is an ailment we as a community need to address. I don't have to go far to see posts from my gay white male cisgender friends who can without irony ask, why are they damaging property? Can't they protest peacefully? While in the same breath post happy Pride. Pride was a riot, not an uprising or a protest. It was a riot. Rioting cannot be celebrated for the white LGBTQ rights while ignoring when my life is on the line. How can queer people of color, the queer people of color community celebrate pride when racism within our own community is just as prevalent as the broader community? Ask any LGBTQ plus person of color, you know if they have ever experienced racism from within our community. Then this is important. Sit back and just listen. Why did it take the murder of George Floyd for you to include us in Solidarity March in LA and New York Pride? We told you about Eric Gardner, Sarah Bland, Trayvon Martin, and Philandro Castile. We told you we feared we'd be next, but you wouldn't listen. We are all hurting. The black community is hurting. The trans community is hurting. Your silence regarding the value of our lives let us know where you stand. My community here in Minnesota is legitimately in fear that their homes will be targeted by white supremacists if they proudly raise their pride flag alongside of their Black Lives Matter flag. And all are welcome here, line signs. The fear is akin to a fearing that you will wake up in the middle of the night with a cross burning in your line. Where's the groundswell from my white LGBTQ plus warriors? Where are our allies? You know what it's like to feel to be a second-class citizen in this country. We all should be out fighting this fight and not just a smattering of us here and there. Although virtually all in-person Pride events have been canceled for this June, let us take this time to recalibrate regarding what it truly means to be in the community with one another. So that was a piece from, let me get his name again, J. Stout, and I really would urge you guys to really go and read that because there is a lot of truth in this. These are sentiments that I've been saying for years. I've always said that there has been racism within the LGBT community, but people want to hear that. People think, especially in the heterosexual community, they feel that all gays are the same. All gays are like There's no discrimination within the gay community. And even outside the issue of race, we even look at in the gay community, like in different sects of the community, that there's discrimination. And this group doesn't like this group over here because they're femme. You don't like this group over here because they're bears. You don't like the fats, the femme, the skinny twink boys, this, that, and the other. There is very little cohesiveness within the gay community. Jonathan, you remember that video that we watched on Vice when they had that panel of 12 different gays from different walks of life?
Yes.
And to me, I left that, watching that, my head was spinning. My head was hurting. I left totally hopeless for the community because there was so much tension within that discussion. Nothing got accomplished. And if anything, that really hurt us as a community because people see that we're so divided. And a lot of people will be surprised when you say that there is racism in the gay community. It is. And like I always say, just because a person gay, that doesn't exempt them from being a racist, a bigot, or any other thing like that. That's just a part of your biology. That doesn't, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean anything. I feel that article really called out a lot of people, and I think we have a lot to reevaluate here. And I do think that it's a good thing that we don't have Pride this year because we do need to sit back and think about things. We don't need to be out here celebrating and doing this, that, and the other right now. There's too much going on in the world. And we have a lot of issues within our community that we need to address before we have another Pride celebration. We don't have no business having no Pride this year. What we got to be proud of? We got trans women of color being killed. You have black people being killed in the street by race soldiers. You have black people being killed by vigilantes. And we have something to celebrate. We don't have anything to celebrate. And then you have people in the white gay community, and I'm not saying all of them because there are some people that are standing up for a change, but you have some people in the community that are speaking against this movement. Yes. And it's disgusting. You know, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys feel about that piece that I just read? Do you think that there was a lot of truth in that?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Bill, what do you feel about that? What do you feel about those issues that I just brought up? I don't think I muted them again.
I'm sorry. I did it again. I apologize. What I was saying, okay, first of all, it is okay to have preferences when it comes to hooking up with a person or dating a person, which I've accepted because when I first came out, I didn't like the fact that I felt like I was in high school again. I was placed into a category, a clique. And I never dreamed that coming out would feel like I was in high school again. So I understand that people are not attracted to me because of my skin color, fine, or because I don't have an Adonis body, okay. But don't fucking sit there and talk about, oh, you tolerate everyone, you love everybody, and yet you never ask me to hang out with you because I'm not one of those guys. And that's some bullshit. So that's why I don't go to Pride events because I'm like, what's the point? Pride is signified. Pride has a symbol. It's always going to be some scantily clad, glistening muscle jock or daddy who's either hairy with a beard, who's most likely white and above 6'2", on a pride float for Stoli vodka. That's what people think of gay pride. That, and it's what you said. People don't know that pride was started by the trans community. No one knows who the fuck Marsha P. Johnson is. So, yeah, I think it's because a lot of people are uneducated. That's why Pride feels the way it does. And that needs to change. We have to learn about this history. Because now everyone's going to assume that's what it means to be gay. And that this is the monolith that we have to strive for in relationships. Now, I like white men. I do. But at the same time, I'm not going to only just associate with white people at the bar or during a discussion. No.
Right.
Because as a black man, I know what it's like to be excluded. So who am I to exclude someone based on that? No. I'm not interested in dating transgender people, but that doesn't mean I don't value them as people. That doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to any of them. Because when we watched Pose, that show gave me, even though it was just a show, it gave me the empathy that I needed to connect with these people in that community. Because I didn't know what transgendered was. None of us did. So a lot of it has to do with, the lack of education about our history, and we need to change that. Because we're not unified. We're not a community. I didn't feel like being in the city for 6 years, there was a community. So maybe it's a good thing that we don't have pride this year. Because, what's the point? It's just going to feel, if out of all the other 364 days, it's going to feel the same for us black folks.
Yeah. While you were talking, Phillip, I wrote down two things because I didn't want to forget about it while you were talking about it, and two things came to my mind. As far as the issue of interracial dating within the gay community, I don't feel that there's anything wrong with that, obviously. Because a lot of people have this bullshit notion, well, if you date outside your race, how can you be pro-black and how can you be about your people? I say that's bullshit. Because I can be with somebody of another race. I can be with somebody that's white. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not going to shuck and jive and tap dance and coon because I'm with somebody that's white. Either you going to be in support of me or you not. Your politics is going to have to align with mine. I'm not going to diminish who I am as a person and sell out who I am just to be with somebody else.
That's right.
So I feel that a lot of times, a lot of gay black men, because I can speak about the gay black men, and I'm pretty sure it's gay black women that do this, but you feel that you have to sell out yourself or sell out who you are as a person or compromise your integrity because you with somebody who is Caucasian or from another ethnicity. That says a lot about you, more so than the person that's the bigot or the racist that you're with. Because there's no way in hell I'm going to just negotiate that. I can't negotiate who I am. That's how God made me. And if you really care and love me, you're going to be in support of me 100%. And that's just how I feel about that. And another thing that I wrote down that I thought of while you were talking is the whole thing about pride. It seems like the only time that black people are celebrated is in pride, and we talked about this, Jonathan, is when we're on stage. As long as we on stage, tap dancing and twirling and whirling and singing, like as long as we putting on a minstrel show and entertainment, the masses, that's the only part we play in pride. They don't want to address what's going on in our communities. They don't want to address the in the black LGBT community. They don't want to showcase us in any other capacity besides being a minstrel show. As long as we're tap dancing, as long as we're like a what's that artist that came last year? As long as we're Lizzo, we're big old Aunt Jemima Mammy, making an ass out of ourselves, over-sexualizing ourselves, and putting ourselves out there in a negative light. They'll commemorate that. They'll put we be in pride in that capacity. But if it has anything to do with anything serious about black businesses or about elevating ourselves as a group within the LGBT community, they don't want no part of that. And I blame us for that. And that's the reason why people wonder why we gotta have Black Pride. Why we gotta have Black Pride? Because you guys in the mainstream Pride do not want to highlight the Black gay community in a positive light. You know, you just want it to be a white mainstream type of event, and you don't want to showcase. Hell, you don't even want to showcase within the community. Hell, you don't even want to showcase the fact that we got bears in the community, we got the chubs, the twinks, the femmes, we got the trans. Like, y'all don't want to showcase none of that. If it ain't got nothing to do with us being showcased in a negative light, then they don't want. We just are non-existent in it. So,
like, you need to stop taking from our culture and not support it at the same time.
Yep, appropriating. Yeah. I'm just to me, I know this sounds bad. I'm just glad that I'm happy that there ain't no Pride here. It don't bother me. Because all these queens don't, because honey, all these queens don't do, y'all run around and hug and kiss on each other, talking about y'all love each other and it's all about pride and unity. But as soon as Pride is over with, as soon as Pride Month is going, y'all are back at the same old, all this division and all this hatred towards one another, all this intolerance towards one another. And it's just like, what do we go through all this? What do we go through all this for every year? We go through the motions, but there's no, I don't know. We just going through the motions as a group right now. We not walking the walk. We talk a big game, but we not walking that talk or whatever. I think I got that misordered. Yeah.
Talking and walking the walk.
Talking and walking the walk, pretty much. So I just to me it's just the hypocrisy behind it. I don't know.
But I put up a post on Instagram from a guy named Senica Harris, and it comes from Twitter. But a bunch of muscle queens giving us dirty looks for being too fat, too thin, too old, and too ethnic, while taking their Speedos and a corporate-sponsored float have been replaced by a group of people protesting bigotry. This might be the best Pride since Stonewall. I got a lot of likes on that, and there's been a few people that have commented on it, feeling that over the past few years, they feel that they haven't been represented at Pride.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, Jonathan. I'm gonna ask, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that we have made a mistake by making Pride corporate? Like,
absolutely.
I really feel that the authenticity of it has been compromised because now we have the corporate interest in it. And anytime you start having corporations buy into your movement, then it compromises that movement. And I feel that we have made a mistake by doing that. But now that's why everything's so watered down. They don't want to take a stand on things because the corporations are behind it.
Yeah. And
you lose that. You lose your voice when you become a prisoner of somebody or become a prisoner of corporations. You know, and I'm wondering if that's why Indie Pride was originally kind of reluctant in speaking out against the whole Sean Reed thing. And maybe they saw once that it was popular or it was the end thing to do to say Black Lives Matter, then they felt it was okay. It was bandwagonism. So do you feel that could have been a bandwagon type of situation?
I sure do, yeah. I think a lot of this, I'm going to say this first, that a lot of younger gays, the 18 to 25 range, or even maybe even younger or a little older than that, they see Pride, when they see those floats coming down the street, that this organization is being sponsored by Smirnoff, or this one other organization is being sponsored by Delta Airlines. And there's a lot of symbolism in that if, the corporation, they may be sponsoring it, but they're only doing it mainly at a tax write-off.
Yeah.
and they're doing it for PR purposes instead of the original purpose of Pride.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my thought.
So in essence, you're pretty much saying that that these corporations are not in for it. They're not in it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And it kind of waters down what Pride is and the message behind Pride. Is that what you're pretty much saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we have to be careful about that. That's another topic I want to do. I want to do a topic on when corporations buy into a movement. Like what happens when that? And this is a good example that demonstrates what happens when you have corporations buy into things like Pride. You know, you get these watered down movements, you know, where it's all about, you know, entertaining the people and not educating people. Pride should be just as much as you entertain people, you need to be educating people, because there is some serious things that are going on out here as far as the health in our community. You need to be telling people to get tested. You need to tell people to be responsible about their sexual health.
Right.
And not only that, you need to be addressing the issues of homelessness amongst LGBT youth. There's a gamut of issues that Pride could be highlighting. And I'm not saying that they don't at these festivals, but it gets lost in all the hoopla and all the festivities.
Right.
It's not about getting drunk until you passed out and going out here showing your ass and your titties and your everything else. It ain't about that. It's about educating and bringing up the quality of life within the community. You see what I'm saying? And I think that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're already getting enough scrutiny from religious groups.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to show them that our community is not just about sex. I mean, it's not.
And it's embarrassing. Like, y'all, it's embarrassing when you go to these. I don't know. It's just it's an embarrassment. It's a mockery of what people before us have had to stand up to fight for. When you go to these festivals and you see these people out here dressed any kind of way around kids, just acting like straight deviants. Like, you know, it just justifies. I think to some people it just justifies the mistreatment of the QIA individuals. It just justifies that when you go to these festivals and see all this stuff that's going on, and then you have these people bringing it. I don't know. That's just a whole different topic for another show. I don't even want to get into that. But I just feel that we need to stop. It's the time is up for us to be playing around and partying and drinking, and we need to get serious about stuff that's going on in this country. We have an election coming up here in November. It's too much at stake. They're trying to pass legislation to reverse everything or the progress that we have made. You know, you have, what's this, like, I think they're trying to get another Supreme Court justice in, like a conservative Supreme Court justice.
Once Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, you'll never, because her time is, I won't say it like this, her time's coming up, but she can't live forever.
Yeah.
And if Trump does win re-election, or even if she does die before the election, they're going to beeline someone right through into that spot.
That's why I'm telling you guys, all this partying and clubbing and gay pride parades and festivals and stuff like that, that has a time and place for that stuff, but we need to get serious as a community and get out here and vote and let our voices be heard. We need to get involved politically. We need to know what's going on and who is representing us. We have to. We have to get serious, y'all. Like, because too much is at stake. We have to. I'm sorry. We have to get serious. And that's just pretty much the message I want to send tonight. We have to get serious about what's going on politically, because there's a lot going on socially, politically, economically. You know, we need to quit playing games, because shit's getting real out here. And I hate to put it like that. I just don't know how else to put it. I have to put it bluntly like that. Shit is getting real, and you better have your ducks in a row, and you better have your business together. Because some of the stuff that's coming down the pipelines, you know, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say, but that's just how I really want to wrap the show up and just tell people we got to get serious. We really need to get serious this year. We need to start encouraging people in our families. We need to encourage our young people to get politically involved, get registered to vote, and show up at the polls. We have to. So
I know. That's why I made the video. And please, if you have it, please do me a favor and try to share that video.
I am going to put that on the YouTube channel. I'm going to put that on the YouTube channel. I am. And on our next show, I'm going to play that. But I'm definitely going to, I was going to ask you, if I can have permission to put that on the YouTube channel.
Yes, you do. Yes,
because
you do.
That message was right on. And I think more people need to hear that.
Because I'm tired. I'm tired. I don't want to be going through another 4 years of this shit. So if people really are serious, you need to go vote. And again, don't just vote for ridiculous reasons. Have a good reason. I mean, it's really not enough to just vote for someone just because you like them. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Are they going to do what they said they were going to do when they got elected? That's what matters.
Right.
So yeah, you have my permission. Please do use it.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to we have Keith Washington in the room. He says, hello, this is Keith Washington, the former president of Indie Black Pride and former national board member of HRC, Human Rights Campaign. So I wanted to give a shout out to him. He's in the room. I want to give a shout out to some of the people that have joined our chat throughout the night. Caleb Bailey, Amber Harris, Justo Frost, Geraldine Chandler, Brandon King, Ananda Walton, Josh Rickelman, Brandon Fikes, Corey, I'm not going to butcher his last name, but yeah, Corey, you know who you are. I'm not going to Terry Johnson, Suzanne Jeffers, my cousin Christina, she's in the room. She came through. Isnard Istrablat too. Yeah, we just had a lot of people that came in here tonight, and I just want to thank you. Josh Reed, Brad Robbins, Bobby Joe Johnson. Yeah, we had a lot of people come in. I just wanted to thank everybody that came in and supported us tonight. You know, we're getting back in the swing of things. Like, you know, this show was kind of like a last minute thing. I want to do it because this is like our first year anniversary of the T Podcast, and we started last year on doing Pride. Yeah. So this is season 2 now. We're in season 2 now of the T Podcast, and we're going to have some more things that come on. We're going to try to bring in some more people this season. We're going to definitely be doing more political type topics. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all good to do the celebrity gossip and pop culture stuff, but we need to really focus on our community, and not just certain segments of the community, but all people in the community, because we all make up this community, and we're all being impacted by the decisions that are being made. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add before we jump off here.
I just want to say thank you for having this podcast.
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing this to the forefront, because we really need this.
Yeah.
We need this kind of
more than ever.
And all I got to say is that when I vote, Seneca, I vote for you. Phillip, I vote for you. Meaning that I have you two in mind. I have your family in mind. Phillip, I have your family in mind when I'm going into that poll. So I think it's more important now more than ever. We truly have a lot on the line.
Yeah.
We do. And a lot of people just don't understand that.
And for me, the pride, it begins in my heart. And, between the three of us, we have pride together. All three of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to say.
Keith Washington, dang, I wish you would have contacted us earlier in the show, because we are about to wrap it up and the lines are closed. But we're going to have a part 2 of this month, and I want you to make sure you contact us again so I can get you on the line. He says, if you would like for a perspective on the LGBT history of Indy, I would be glad to give it. I can definitely tell you why things evolved to where it is today. I wonder, okay, let me wonder something real quick. Let's see if I can get him on the line, on my personal line. Or let's wonder if I can send him a stream line. Let me see something really quick, guys. I want to hear what his perspective is. Invite. Yeah, I'm going to send him a link to join my StreamYard. If you're listening, I'm gonna send this link in the room so you can join my StreamYard if you want to give your perspective, because my phone lines are shut off on the Blog Talk Radio. But if you want to reach out to us in StreamYard so we can bring you on so you can give your perspective, we would love to hear that. If not, I'll definitely catch you on the next show. I'm going to wait for a couple minutes. If not, we'll just do that next time. Better yet, I tell you what, I'm going to call him online. He just sent me his number. Wait a minute, give me a second. Let's do it like that. Yeah, let's do something. I'm improvising on air, y'all, so just bear with me. So I want to hear his point of view about the history. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, my man, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? You on air right now?
I know, I see it. Yeah. First of all, greetings to everybody. Greetings from Nashville, hello. Tennessee. So I hope everybody's having a good evening. I can talk to you concerning the history of Indy Pride from a perspective that most don't. Do you remember the video store Max, that video?
Yes.
I owned that for 10 years.
Okay.
And so when I became involved in the LGBT community through the video store with my former partner, Rick Cook, and I, they were very interested in us sponsoring them. I got involved in the LGBT movement because I didn't see anybody that looked like me. Back in the day, there were several key individuals that made sure that there was people not like me involved, from Gary Brackett on down. Gary Brackett was the head of Indie Pride then. It was a very segregated situation. Myself and a couple others decided to get involved. Well, I was brought in because of the fact that I refused going to give them money, because my thing is I own a business and I don't see you guys in my business patronizing me. I went to one of their meetings and told them there's 25 people in the room. I know 11. And they said, what do you mean by that? I know 11 that come in my store and give me money for my product, and the others don't. Back in the day, Indie Pride was basically founded by a group of friends, and it was all about the original Pride started off was for gay pride, gay rights, but this group of people under Gary Brackett's lead got in there and took it over and made it a clique. It became very, very white. It became very, very white male. It became very, very white male and elitist classes and racist at the same time. They had a board of 25 people, all white men. There were no lesbians. There were no people of color. There were no people who were older. It was just them. And so, through the process of them in that organization, it grew to be what it has become now. They finally, just this year, got rid of or disassociated themselves from the Gary Brackett era. He was a type of individual. That Pride board was set up where they didn't want anybody of color to be involved. That's how I got involved in the gay rights movement of Indianapolis, because I felt that they were not taking care of us. I felt they were discriminating. This is my thing. If I'm good enough for you to be in bed at night, I should be good enough for you to be hand to hand and walk to you, talk to you, and be involved in the daytime.
Exactly. Wow.
You follow. And so I got involved with the community movement through the Human Rights Campaign, HRC. My mentor, Tom Maynard, found me through a guy named Brent Matter, and sat back and said, I hear you stirring up the waters and saying, talking about racial issues in the gay community. So what are you going to do about it? I said, well, I don't know. I own this business, but guess what? As a black business owner in the LGBT community, you're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to disrespect the people that come in the store. You're not going to disrespect the people of color, because here I am. We would have to definitely have a show so I can tell you the history of the gay community in Indianapolis. When I sit back and say that they just became inclusive in the 2000s, they did. Seneca, I can tell you there was a time at English Ivies where you couldn't go into English Ivies and serve as a black person.
Are you serious?
Wow.
What? And that
Wow.
Was 2000. That was in 2004 and 5 and 6. One of my mentees, if you ever get a chance and you talk to him, David Bridgeport, I remember I took in to English Ivies a group of about 25 black folks. I took over the dining room. I sat back and said, you're going to serve us, but I also told black folks, y'all going to tip.
Yeah.
The problem is, the reason why they don't want to serve you, because y'all come in here and you act crazy and you don't want to tip these people. So we're going to sit back and make this work. And I did that. And that's when black folks start coming into English Ivies. That was like 2005, 2006. Same with Metro. I took over Metro back in the day If you talk to some of the older African American LGBT people, they'll tell you about the Wednesday night socials that we had at Metro, where I would bring in the old school black folks and the younger black folks to Metro. And I would make Metro, hey, you're going to give us advertising stuff free. I'm going to bring all these people in and do this stuff. I had to do all these things. I mean, I can sit there and say this. I've learned as now turning 50, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But back then I was a young, full of fire guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically had to fight these people for years. My name is respected and loved by some and hated by others. But I'm telling you, the white gay community back in the late 90s and 2000s, man, they were terrible. I remember a time when I became the second president of Black Pride after Robert Ferguson, where one year they had, DJ Redbone, right?
Yeah.
So they just had to have DJ Redbone DJ they gave her 30 minutes. Now this was the Pride. Most LGBT white folks listen to R&B music, which is what we listen to, right? So they let DJ Redbone do 30 minutes, and she rocked the festival to the point that the other DJ Deanna, the DJ from Calvert
Street,
the white female, was so upset and ticked off that she didn't want to perform because this girl did so well. So the following year, we asked, could we, bring her back? They had to have an emergency meeting on a DJ.
Unbelievable. I believe that Indianapolis, the community here is so petty. I believe.
Right. They're petty as all get out. If I begin to tell you the cutthroat, treacherous things that the Indy Pride Board under the leadership of Gary Brackett did to people of color in the city of Indianapolis for years, it'll blow your mind. The owner of the word, Ted Fleisch, again?
He was asking what this guy's name was. What was his name again?
Gary Brackett.
Gary Brackett. Yeah.
Gary Brackett.
Brackett.
He was one of the most. Yeah, Gary Brackett, one of the most terrible people you ever meet, and I have no problem saying it. One of the most terrible people you ever meet. I mean, if I give you the history behind the white gay community, from IYG, a lot of people don't understand. IYG. I'm being very careful I don't get sued, but a lot of them should be in jail now with some of the legal activities with younger people concerning that organization and what they've done. They've evolved and grown, but man, I'm trying to tell you, they were nothing nice back in the 90s and 2000s. They didn't want anybody that didn't look like them involved. Indy Black Pride was started by Robert Ferguson and some folks. And only thing they wanted Black Pride to do was be there to basically be support. They didn't allow them to sit at the table to make plans, arrange for the pride. That's how Indy Black Pride got started. When I got it.
Yeah, and that's why I was going to ask you, where does Indy Black Pride fit? Because so many years we've noticed that Indy Black Pride was not up to the same level or up to par to Black Pride, but why didn't they show that same level of support, or did they?
Well, let me tell you this. When I came on the scene as a head of HRC, the Emergency Campaign for Indiana, Kentucky, for 5 years, they had issues with this. And one of the things that they were doing to block me or to cause issues in the Black gay community was to attack me. I refused to give Indy Pride national money for a pride that didn't represent me. I had access and control of that kind of money back in the day through HRC. And so Indy Black Pride got started by a group of people, Robert Ferguson, Noel Taylor. It was a small group. They got tired of going to Indy Pride, not seeing themselves represented. As I said earlier, if I'm good enough to sleep good, I should be good enough to be out in front during the daytime doing something. Okay? And they sat down and they created that organization to reflect pride. The people of Indian pride, even to this day, they're ignorant to the history and in fact of the LGBT movement. And soon as you know this, Stonewall was not a white gay bar. Stonewall was a black Latino transgender jaguar that started the gay civil rights movement. I can say this with security. There has never been any civil rights movement in this country that has not been started or moved or led without black people. White folks don't do that. They don't get out there and fight. Sylvia Rodriguez, a transgender Puerto Rican drag queen, hit a police officer on the head with a boot and started the movement for civil rights for gay people. Okay. Indie pride has played on the fact that it's all about us and not about them. You can't be a minority and discriminate against a minority within the minority. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah.
And so indie pride has always been about one thing, themselves. Now they do have some people that of color, so a few spoken, but they're not. They don't. Seneca, they don't know you. You remember when I was back in Indy, man? I did all kind of stuff to my video store for people of color, for people who are older. One of the big things that I made it my business was there's an older LGBT community to take care of. That's why that video store is there. That's why Rick and I ran it for all those years. We didn't make any money off that store. We went broke trying to keep that store going, but we made sure it stayed open as a pillar to the community to have a place to go where they can celebrate themselves and be comfortable. And I in the basement we had all the adult stuff, and I would tell those undercover cops, those cameras are not for the customers; they're for you. If you come in and try to entrap one of my customers, I'm going to entrap you. That's how deep it was. Yeah. And so, I swear, I need to get my thoughts and notes together.
I'll tell you what.
It was back in the day.
Yeah.
You couldn't even go to Greg's.
Oh yeah, that's true. I know that for a fact from even when I started going there. Greg's evolved.
When I played black music, they would chase black folks out. They didn't want people. They literally did not want people. Now this is after. Greg's is named after the owner who started. When he was alive, everybody was welcome. But when he died, it changed hands. And when it changed hands, and went into the hands. Say it again.
He said, no wonder he didn't like it there.
Yeah. When it changed hands with the ownership of Phil, who didn't like black people, they did everything in power to keep black folks out. They wouldn't serve you. They wouldn't play. They wouldn't do anything. They didn't want you in there. The only reason why I was able to walk through the doors, I was Keith Washington. He's the owner of Master that video. We have to handle him differently because he's not your regular typical gay black guy. I didn't accept it. You're not gonna mistreat me. And same way with Metro. If I can tell you about Chet Van, whatever his name is, those guys and how they treated black folks, it's crazy. When they started letting black people in the Metro, it's only been like 5-6 years, man.
Yeah.
For real. When Mass Ave changed. When downtown evolved and black folks started coming in there with other folks because Metro was dying. They were dying. They had to start playing black music and stuff like that. And dude, let me tell you something. I've been going for Indy for a little bit now, living out of state. But I can tell you, I would get phone calls from black people saying, "Hey, they're not letting us in at Metro." Have you ever? You probably seen back in the day, they would have the line outside the door of Metro.
Yeah.
But the bar is empty. The inside is empty, but the line is circling around the building with black people. They didn't want black folks in there, and so I kept getting these phone calls saying, "Hey, you need to come down, Mr. Washington. You need to come down. and see this because they're just really messing with it. And I went down there one night. And I walked up to the door. The doorman, hey, Amy, what are you doing? Got a question for you. I know you let me in, but I'm looking through the windows. There's nobody in here. Well, you see what? I said, tell you what. You put them inside. They got about 25 minutes to figure out what they want to do. I'm going to take this whole group to another bar. And they will follow me. There had to be 100 folks outside. And even they were making, this is how blatantly racist they were. Even they were making white customers wait with the black. It's like, why are we going to stand in line? Because they don't want them in there. So they'd rather keep you out along with them to keep them from coming in.
Ooh.
This is how deep this thing is.
And I always felt that there was, because I don't have the history that you have. I felt that there was always some type of underlying history or something. I just felt something was there, and you kind of corroborating what I felt. Now let me ask you about as far as the 501 is concerned, the history of the 501. Now we know that bar is no longer here, but like, did they have that same history of?
The history of the 501, the 501 to me was a bar, I call it the great equalizer. You couldn't come into the 501 with the gay shenanigans. They wouldn't let the squinks and the pretty boys walk up in there and disrespect anybody. They had a gay black bartender there. I can't think of his name. I think he's passed on. But they allowed folks to come in there. Black folks and black men and stuff like that to come in there and be a part. The leather community today, under the leadership of a guy named Jacob Overton and all the little indie leather stuff, Mr. Leather stuff, that's just a bunch of mess. Because they'll never let someone of Seneca, you or someone of color, never be Mr. Leather Indiana. They'll never let that happen.
Ain't that the truth?
They won't. Because that'll take away from their marketing, their branding of that thing. But back in the day, you can go to the 501. You can go, and I think one of the biggest things that has happened to the gay community in Indianapolis and across the country is when these newly white gays said they had to have straight people.
Woo!
In order for them to be
watered it down. Yep, they watered it down.
They had to have straight folks to be. And because back in the day, man, you go to the bars on Thursday, Friday night, there was no girls inside the bar.
Mm-mm.
That's for the gay men to go. You go to the 10, it was no guys. That was for the women to go to do their thing. And but when this younger white generation of gays came through, they had to have straight females. They had to have that clutch purse. And when that purse came into the era or the genre or the history or the atmosphere of the LGBT community, it changed everything. Because on a Thursday, Friday night, man, back in the day at Greg's and back in the day at 501, lights off, shirts off, spray can poppers in your hand, fists in the air, and you were doing your thing. Yep. And you had a blast and fun doing it. But when they came in, oh my God, I can't believe these guys are kissing. I can't believe these guys are touching each other. Oh my God, this is gross. Then get out. Why are you here if they got to change who they are to make you happy to be here?
So let me ask you this. Do you feel that has contributed to the decay of the gay community or just the gay establishment? Like, not just only here, but just nationwide.
It destroyed. In 2009, man, there were 4 iconic gay businesses that went out of business. 1, Mass Ave Video Market. 2, Outward Bound, the gay bookstore. 3, Ruth Evans, the gay restaurant that had some of the best food in the world. And 4, the Abbey, which was the sandwich shop at the end of the Mass Ave where the gay teens and kids were able to go and and that is in response or cause, going back to indie pride, who had the ability to sit back and say, we need to sponsor these, we need to support these businesses, but they didn't do it. So they were so busy trying to get the corporate sponsors and trying to appease everything and have a party for a group of elite white gay men in the city or who are older, and having the young white twink pretty boys be at their parties and all this stuff and be popular. Indie Pride is not an organization of inclusion or success. It's an organization that basically destroyed a community. The ones that built them, the ones that wrote the checks, the one that supported them, the one that has, also Agio restaurant. Agio's, man, if it wasn't for Agio's, Indie Pride wouldn't be. All the fundraisers that they did for them, and when it came down to Agio's trying to survive on the avenue, they didn't show up. They haven't showed up for anybody. It's all about them. And then when the coup took over, happened a couple of years ago, when they got that new president, he's not there anymore. I never forget. He called me. He said, "Reverend, I want you to." And at that time, I just became a pastor. Reverend, we want you to be a part of this vote to get Gary Brack and those guys out. And Seneca, I not just showed up, stood in my clergy collar and stood there on the floor of that meeting at the Indiana Museum of Art. IMU. Indiana Museum of Art. And I sat back and said, this is why they need to go. You're having a vote on if you're going to allow people of color to be involved and get voted on your board.
Wow.
What? And I know some of y'all in the room don't like me, but I'm gonna say like this y'all been racist for so long that you don't even realize that you're racist.
That's true.
I mean, you know, and it just, my mind is flashing back. That's why you and I, you need to give me a call. We just need to sit down and talk so I can just go through it. I don't want to go through all the stuff. A lot of it would probably put me in legal jeopardy.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It's the truth on individuals and what they have done. And you'll, once I tell you, Seneca, the story, it'll all make sense to you why you are where you are today.
All right.
Do you mind if I chime in?
Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. That'd be fine. It's that deep. I mean, it's deep. Go ahead,
Phillip.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Keith, thank you so much for telling me all this. I'm not a native of Indianapolis. I moved here in 2013 from South Bend. That's where I'm originally from. And I came out at 25. And I had never, been at a gay bar, never knew anything about the community. I literally had to learn all this stuff on my own. And 501 was the first bar that I ever went to when I moved here. And I honestly, my impression was I did have some people talk to me, and I didn't really think I belonged there. But, I liked it. I liked the Bare Leather Bar. I loved it there. That was the only bar that I felt more comfortable going than I did at Metro or Greg's or even Ollie's. But now what you just said makes a lot of sense as to why I didn't feel like going to those places was worth it. Because, with Indie Pride, it was the same way. Because I couldn't understand why, okay, all these white men talk about tolerance and acceptance and loving everyone for who they are, but when you go on a dating site, it's contrary. So that makes a lot of sense.
Back in the day, interracial couples not the straight community, are you ready for this one? In the gay community, could not go out to the bars because the white gays had problems with interracial couples.
Wow.
In 1999 through the 2000s, they had a social group called the Black and White Group. They would have dinners and socials at different people's houses who were couples, who were interracial couples, because they couldn't go to the gay restaurants and bars because gay white people had problems with interracial couples. In Indianapolis, 2,000.
It's embarrassing.
Yep.
That's real. That's very real. I kid you not. I kid you not.
I believe it.
When we sit down, I'll give you the names of the people that started that organization. I'll give you the names of people that created it because they had issues with interracial couples. White gay men. If it wasn't white and gay and men, guess what? It couldn't be. Talbot Street, you know, the owner of Talbot Street, same way. Just, you know, and if the drugs and all this, if I can tell you about all this stuff that I know, I personally know, it'll blow your mind. And that's one of the reasons why I'm revered by some and hated by a lot, but guess what? Respected on both sides. I just stood my ground.
Yeah.
I stood my ground with it because it just didn't make any sense that here you are, you're demanding civil rights, and y'all the most racist group of people in the damn state.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
I don't understand that.
Like the marriage issue, you know, Washington, we're just upset with the fact that you don't support gay marriage and yada 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 and everything else, and black gays don't want to condemn the church. First of all, let me tell you something. You already have all these other rights and all these other privileges. Now you want us to go out here and sacrifice ourselves and give you more privileges, but then once you get the privileges, we can't get the privileges that you get to enjoy. You want to hold them back from us? No. Two, we're not going to condemn the church. The church has been our foundational truth of who we are, regardless of what they say some Sundays. At the end of the day, the church needs us, and we need the church, and the church ain't been that bad to us. I'm sorry, white gay community, if you had some very, very bad issues with your church world, your church experience. But guess what, though? We're not going to sit back and walk away from the black church. Because at the end of the day, it's the black church that gives us power and strength to be able to do the things we do, which caused your movement to be.
Wow.
Problem is, white gay community, you're godless. That part.
And
because you're godless, you don't understand how a movement should go. And the sad thing about it is there's a lot of good white gay LGBT people out there who know God, who loves God, who serve and all that stuff, but they don't speak out. It's the ones, the party boys, the ones with money, the fake ones that run and control things. And I say his name again, Gary Brackett was the head, the kingpin of it. That what you're dealing with now, the aftermath of what you're dealing with now. You have a movement that has leadership, but don't have a head of leadership to sit back and look at the bigger picture to incorporate everybody.
So let me ask you this: do you feel that we could have been more progressive as a community? We would have been further ahead if it wasn't for this leadership, this previous leadership.
Oh yeah. They purposely got people down that did not agree with them. Oh yeah. And when I say purpose shut down, not just publicly, but privately. They destroyed lives. It was almost like the mafia.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
This is deep.
If they would have allowed and everybody to have a seat at the table, they would have been better. The only time any pride came to anything that was close to similar to something, and Senica, I know you know this person. Remember Scott Van Kirk?
Yeah.
Scott Van Kirk is the reason why black folks were able to come into pride.
Shut up.
Scott Van Kirk's husband is a black doctor.
Because I don't think he doesn't live in the country anymore, does he?
He it lives in Africa.
Africa, yeah, yep, sure does. Yep.
But if it wasn't for Scott Van Kirk, black folks to this day would not be involved with Pride. Scott Van Kirk and I worked hand in hand. When I became the president of Indie Black Pride after Robert Ferguson, Scott Van Kirk worked hand in hand.
Yeah, he was a good man. He was a good person. Yeah.
But guess what though? But they did their best. The Brackett contingents, Gary Brackett and his minions fought Scott Van Kirk tooth and nail and everything. I give you this, gonna blow your mind. The Bag Ladies bus tour back in the day, they would come to the 10 and to the 501 and stuff like that so late at night that the tour is over. They would never include black folks. Gary Brackett he ran Pride, he ran the Bag Ladies bus tour. Man, I'm trying to tell you, it was just crazy how racist blatantly racist. And I'm not talking about where we know they're racist and it's hidden somewhat.
Covert, yeah.
It was overtly.
Yeah. Wow.
They didn't care. But Scott Van Kirk, I have to give him credit. He is one of the reasons why it evolved where it is today, where it's a lot better than what it was then. But they gave Scott Van Kirk hell. Because Scott Van Kirk's husband is black.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean,
this is very,
so much.
It's very fascinating, but this is very embarrassing at the same time that this history, and it explains a lot. While even to this day, even the community today here in Indianapolis is so conservative. I've never seen, you can even go down to Kentucky, like Louisville, or go to any, this Indianapolis community is so unique. It's so, they're stuck in a time capsule, and it's very conservative. Even the gay community is very conservative. It's already a conservative city and state, but it explains a lot, why it feels like we haven't progressed when you look at other cities.
They don't want you to progress. If you progress, one of the things I did, if you progress, man, it takes away their power. It takes away who they are, their popularity, their standing. One of the things I did when I was part of HRC, when I ran HRC, I created what you call a subgroup called the Who's Your Right campaign, and I connected all 5 state colleges together: IU, Purdue, I-State, Ball State, and Indiana State down at Terre Haute. And I created a network of college kids so they can communicate with each other. And so if something goes down at a campus against somebody who's LGBT, guess what? We our brothers and sisters from other campus come down.